Welcome to another unauthorized and rum-fueled treasure hunt. Oh, sorry about that. In the sharky waters around the Gatsby Islands with Queen Ray.
That's me!
Mirjam Aulbach, conference buddy, and I'm your host, Uravea. Remember to smash that like button, friends.
Happy New Year's, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm going to mute the family. I'm muting the family. The family's muted. Oh, she's going to be an elephant. Okay. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you've had a great start to the year. How has your start been, Mirjam?
Good, actually. I was like in between the years, like we German call it wrongly because it's not in between years, but the time until between Christmas and New Year, I was pretty lazy. I mean, we did our stream, but basically that was most I did for Conference Buddy. And then I spent the beginning of the week really frustrated. So I think Monday and Tuesday because things didn't work. And you know how it is. You're frustrated, you're annoyed. And yesterday afternoon, like since yesterday afternoon, I have kind of a run, like everything, not everything, but most stuff works, things come together. So I've spent a lot of time coding the last 2 days and it was really fun.
Yeah, so your tweet, you were like, yes, like this is going out. And then I saw a follow-up to that tweet. It's like, we forgot to give you homework, but it looks like you had...
I made my own.
You made your own homework. That is like, you're a perfect person to have on these streams. I realized I forgot to put on my light. I don't know what happened today. I was like super in control. And then suddenly I kind of, oh, look at that. I kind of just fell asleep on the couch a little bit. So,
oh, that sounds so nice.
I mean, it was nice. It was nice.
I can imagine.
Yeah. But so I know you have some Gatsby or React Gatsby questions for me today. So I think a little bit of the theme will be getting the authentication flow working and then displaying and updating profiles for your users. But then I also saw you've added some great content. So your like homepage is a little more informative and stuff.
It looks like there is something happening. Like it looks like a thing now, I think. I'm really happy.
So maybe you want to just share your screen and show us where you're at and then log in and then we can have a little bit of a look at what you want to change with your authentication flow.
Okay, let's see. Let me share my screen for you. Ooh, where it is.
I think I need... I don't know. I am not fully awake from my like my little nap. This is why I don't nap. Like I don't like waking up. So napping, you kind of have to wake up twice a day. Ula likes to nap, but yeah. Okay, I can.
I love naps.
You love naps?
Yeah,
I don't.
I love, but I'm also not awake after. Like I kind of want just continue sleeping, you know?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna, let's look at that. We can see your screen.
Yeah, that is great. I mean,
look at that little spinner there.
Way too much time on this little animation, but it was so fun and I really like it. Yeah, I mean, it now looks actually like a thing, you know? Like this links currently all lead to nowhere. So, but it, like I plan to add stuff here, but on the start page you have now the 3 newest conferences, or the newest, so they are filtered by sorted by start date. I did this with GraphQL, which was pretty nice.
Yes.
Then you have the conference list, which looks like this. I mean, there will be more content later, but it's a page. And then there's now a single page view, which looks like that. And here later the comments will also be added. So comments for one conference. But yeah, I mean, I feel I did more, but
I didn't give you any homework, but like gold star.
Thank you.
Huge gold star. This is looking, like you say, that's looking like a project.
Yes,
I really like that.
Right?
Yeah, I like that little spinner. The only thing I want them bold. I would like the colored words to be bold as well. Not
that's a good
important
idea.
functionality wise. But so sign out and then sign, like maybe head on over to a conference. Let's look at the first conference. Go to the detail page.
Yes.
And then sign out and then sign in again. And let's see how that flow works.
Yes. So, okay, sign out is pretty easy because I'm now signed out.
Yay!
So that's it. But sign in is a bit, it's a bit messy. You will see. So sign in my case now will work pretty good because I already have a profile. So what's happening is there's a little redirect to GitHub, which you not really notice. And now it redirects me to the profile page, which is a page, but it should not be accessible like in the URL. So that's like not how it should work. And this is my username. It's not about username. So this was just for me to confirm that this is now working.
Yeah.
And if you now go to sign out, then you can see I'm back again at the profile page, and this should not happen. But now I get at least a message that I'm not logged in. What else is working, but also not good? I just created pages for everything to get things running, but it's not how it should work. If I go, let's see, I need a private code.
You have that little message that says you are sharing the screen. So maybe you want to click that little, if you click that little button there, I think it goes away. So yes.
I didn't know that you could do that.
Oh.
Okay.
Now you might forget that you're sharing your screen.
Oh my God, I hope not. Okay, now I go to sign in. Okay, no, I have to delete my user in Superbase, sorry. But if I now sign in, I have the same ID from GitHub, which means I have a profile. So to show you what I mean, I have to delete my profile.
Do you want me to, can we, should I still share your screen? There's no secrets being.
No, there should not.
Yeah. Okay, there we are, Conference Buddy.
Yeah, I'm just deleting this one entry in the table. Profiles. Oh, come on. Okay, so now it should work. Now I go to sign in.
And you get the create
I'm
profile.
already, and now I'm at create profile, which is good, but it also should not, I mean, this is also the profile page that just says if a user is authenticated but does not have a profile, show the create profile, otherwise show the profile page we saw with a username. And if the user is not authenticated and does not have a profile, show this error message. So this is obviously not how it should work. But now I can create a new user, and this is working, which I mean, okay, the notification is not.
But you know what? I have started using alerts because it just makes everything so much easier. Okay, so I think the first thing we discussed a little bit before is that, okay, if you now you have a profile, and let's say you sign out again and you go to a page like we did in the beginning. It feels a little weird that you are kind of kicked to the profile page. So I think it would be nice to just do a redirect back to the page you were on. And I think even that might make sense if I'm a new user. And maybe we'd just do a little, maybe like a little, like a little bubble that's set on the profile link there that kind of says, hello, you want to check me out if you don't have a profile, to kind of get people to fill out their profile. If you...
Yeah,
Did that make
but
sense?
yeah, but the basic idea was that the user has to authenticate and then create a profile, because only users that have a profile and are authenticated have the right to see, for example, these are now buttons that you can click. It's a console lock currently, but you could click them. And
Yeah.
if I'm signed out, I don't have any functionality in here.
Yeah.
So it's, and that's the thing where I struggled a bit, and that's where this like weird redirect comes from. The users have to create this profile.
Yeah, because
And
the data model connects to the profile and not to the user row. That's kind of what we ended up with a couple of weeks back, right?
yeah,
But I still think though that the login should redirect to the page, that since we're using
definitely
GitHub login, where you're not like writing in a sign in and sign, or you're not writing in a username and password and stuff like that. I think it's good that you come back. But you could have it so that the links are then active, like those buttons are active after you've signed in. But if you click them before creating a profile, you could say like, hey, create a profile first or something like that. So that like, so you get, because if you get their sign in, you at least when you have them signed in, you at least have that GitHub info. So if they never do anything more, you could still like email them and like, you could still kind of get in contact with them. But anyway, now that you have a profile, let's fix it so that you are redirected back to the page you were on. And I think it's a fairly like straightforward way of doing that is that you just change the address that you ask to be redirected back to.
Yeah, I had that in the beginning. Let's see. I also like ordered a lot of stuff new. So in the beginning, I had just Windows.
Can you bump up the font once?
Oh yes, of course. I just use Windows location to redirect to. So in that case, let's go to the conference page that we see it. So now I sign in, it goes to GitHub, it redirects me back to where I was. Yeah. And what I saw, and that was the thing where Gatsby magic could come into play. I thought maybe if a user is like coming back from an authentication, so the user is authenticated but does not have a profile, maybe there could be a modal popping up with the create profile form, and only they can like cancel that, so they don't create a profile. That's okay, but then they also don't have a profile, don't see the actions. But if they created a profile and they confirm, they are back at this page where they came from. I thought that could be a way to solve this.
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of a challenge with modals, especially with when you get on smaller screens. It feels a little weird, but you could definitely pop something up on top of the whole thing and say, hey, please make a profile. You could do that. You can also redirect. So they come back to the page, and if they don't have a profile, you like quickly redirect them to the profile page. Then you will see like a little bit of a flash. Because I don't think we can send we can't really tell the Supabase authentication anything else than the redirect URL. So I think because otherwise we would have to like store something in like the session storage that says what page they were last on, and then redirect them to the profile and then redirect them back. But I think that's going to be too it's too complex. So I would, like, as a user, I think maybe like I like to be redirected to where I was. I'm kind of like back in the flow that I was.
Totally.
But then you could have here, when you come back to this page, say I don't have a profile, you could change that profile link that is up there next to sign out. You could change that maybe to create profile. And then when people try to click these buttons, it says like create a profile first, or you could have like a create profile notification somewhere that says like create profile. I'm not 100, like this needs to be user tested. But because I am not 100% sure like what would be the best. Like I would have liked if the profile was fully voluntary, that I didn't need to create it at all, that I could like follow. I would like to just sign in and then click the little ice, but then you would have to change the data model so that the conference and stuff is connected to the user. I think maybe that could be a way to handle it.
The thing is, so I wanted users to like have a force to have a profile, because I think a lot of this like is about trust, and it's I mean you are already like stranger people in the internet, so it's no guarantee for anything. But if you have like a name and maybe description, links to social media, maybe a picture, then the more information a profile has, the like easier it is to get an impression, like is this a person I want to meet to. And I also want to avoid that people can sign in and access all information without kind of having kind of a profile, something public, because then I mean I don't think that 100 million people will use Conference Buddy, but it still would enable people to, for example, follow you around and see what conference are you visiting, with who are you meeting up. And so, you know, I just wanted this for this kind of safety.
Yeah. Then I think, let's say I didn't have a profile now and I click those eyes. I would maybe then just locally store that they have clicked those eyes. And then after they click the eyes, send them to the you must create a profile page. And then when they save their profile, you add the eyes. So you don't create that row, that connection between the user and I want to follow this conference until after they've created the profile.
Yeah. So I thought about, you see, I'm pretty hung up on my idea to force people to have it, just because. So
no, but this would force people to have it. So this is a way to force them to have it. But instead of as soon as they come back, instead of like overlaying the page with a profile, which feels, at least I often feel like if there's a modal and I can't even read anything more, I get a little annoyed. But if you get back to this page, you click the eyes, it's like, well, I cannot save this until you've created a profile. You don't say it like that, but that is what you do feature wise.
I think that's
with you, but you could all I mean, I'm not gonna, it's your product. If you want to put a modal on there, put a modal on there.
No, that's really good, because I was a bit hung up on the idea, but just as you said, you are annoyed by modals. I am too. So maybe we could make this so like a combination, like no modal, but if a user is that's the thing. So I would like to, if a user is signed in, and we could do that. Yes, if a user is signed in, like authenticated, but does not have a profile, I could show a banner. So like not a modal, not something that like disables you to use a page, but a banner you cannot, or alert banner that you cannot close. That shows you, hey, to use Conference Buddy like in full functionality, you have to create a profile with a link. So and also like disable all the buttons and so on, and maybe also, like you said, like have maybe alerts or anything on the button, so hey, you have to create a profile before you can use this. So there's this visible, and like it's clear as soon as they get back on the page, the user knows I have to create a profile to use this fully. So they don't forget about it. They know it. It's not a surprise. They click something and then there's a button and the user is, hey, I just authenticated myself. It was not English. But it's not so disruptive. So that could be maybe. And then I don't even have to handle this for redirect stuff, because I have the information. I can say, is the user authenticated but doesn't have a profile? Show this.
Yeah, you can do that.
Oh my God, you solved so many problems. I should have talked to you 2 weeks ago about this.
We talked 2 weeks ago, but we didn't talk about this.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, and then I have redirect and come back and maybe URL parameters, modal, but it's so easy. Make an alert.
Yeah, you can have that alert, and then as my idea that I tried to explain was that
Sorry.
instead, no, but I didn't explain fully. So instead of then maybe having like an alert when you click the dog, the little dog button there, or the eyes, you can actually redirect people then. So instead of, so in that kind of on click, you can have like on click does not have a profile, send to profile, and then redirect them back. Because then we are in our own React Gatsby application. So then you could save that state. So you could save that they are coming from that conference and they're trying to become a buddy. They create their profile, you send them back, and then you add them as a buddy to that conference after they've created their profile.
That's genius. Yes.
So that's a way to do it.
Nice.
That's a good one.
That's it for today.
Okay, we're done then. No, but I thought a little bit about looking at the profile page, because I saw like if you click that now, if you click it and then you try to refresh, I guess. No, so you get that loading and you get that loading. And of course, if you are refreshing on this page, we don't know if you're logged in or not. But what I often like to do is like either you could make these paths client only, so they only are rendered on the client. But I often, sometimes when I'm using application, I refresh and I don't want like to be kicked off or anything. And I still want that kind of skeleton UI, as we call it. If people are, if you go to Twitter or Facebook or something, you land and there's like all the UI elements are there, but then it takes a while before the UI is populated with your data. So when it comes to these kind of these paths that we all know should only be available for logged in users, and that we only show kind of the links there when the user is logged in, I often kind of just pretend like the initial state, I pretend that the user will be logged in. So instead of showing loading, I'll just show kind of the skeleton. You don't have really a skeleton UI yet, but I would show like my profile. I would show I would leave space for where that username will come. And then because it's often so fast that like showing that loading thing just like flickers. And then, so say like, okay, my happy path is that the user is actually logged in. And then if it turns out they're not logged in, then I kick them out. Because if somebody is logging themselves out and then trying to force themselves onto the profile page, no, they know they're doing something wrong, kind of. So if they see a kind of a half-assed page with like a skeleton and then they get kicked out, I think that is a better kind of use case than showing the people who are trying to use the app correctly, kind of that flickering style. And a way to do that then is to have these pages be, statically generated as you have that now. They're in the pages folder. And then you fill out all of the UI around it, like you do with your layout. But then I would maybe also create kind of that, like a nice looking skeleton version of my profile. And then fill that in. And then when you click edit, I would kick that over to an edit page, because you could also just have that as a state on the page. But I'd kick that over to an edit page, but that page should be very similar so that it just like looks like, tiny change when that happens. So I thought maybe we could do that, like try that a little bit today. So it's just flipping your logic a little bit, like going from, and what often then happens is that you don't have kind of the data fetching logic on maybe not on the page. You might even have it like in the component that is going to show the data, because that's the component that is in charge of showing its skeleton version.
And would
that
you
made sense.
Totally. Because the profile page currently is a bit like it was this get the thing working thingy, and I was not sure, and this is something I want to ask you. I have it on my list. So there also should be at some point like a public user page. So this is you see this is my public user page that is statically rendered with the ID, the same as we did with conferences. And I wasn't sure if profile or my profile later. I'm not sure. Should it be static, like a static rendered page, or because then users could force their way? I mean, yeah, as you said, probably it's not as bad if users kind of force their way in it, because I think I have also. Oh no, I removed that. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
It depends. So that when you say public profiles, they should be public to also people who are not signed in.
No, only to signed in people. Yeah, but they are at least, you cannot access them if you are not if you don't have a profile and are authenticated, of course. But they, like the conferences, they are like sourced from.
Yeah. So if they should not be available for people who are not logged in, they cannot be sourced. Every page that is created using the static generation are actually available as HTML pages. So if you turn off your JavaScript, they will still be available. So you could like fake force them off of the page, but the data would still be there because the data is available also in its HTML version. So for things that are going to be like truly hidden from non-logged in users, we cannot fetch that data until the user is logged in.
I thought that, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But that I had an inkling, but it was like,
yes, you had an inkling. No, so that is, but you can use that. You could use the kind of fallback route approach that we talked a little bit about last time, because if you do that, then you kind of just statically generate the skeleton again, and then you grab the ID coming in from the file system route API, and then you ask Supabase for that data, and you only ask Supabase for that data if users are logged in. And you should probably do some privacy settings on Supabase, because then Supabase can also enforce that users have to be logged in. So it's both enforced in the application, but also on Supabase that only authenticated users can view those rows. Yeah. But let's see some code. Like we're talking and talking here, and our like the whole screen is our profile. So if anybody. I can see we have stats inside of our streaming software. So I can see that there are, a couple of people viewing this. If you want to say hi in the chat, that would be lovely. And let us know if you have any questions. So we fixed that. So now when you log in, you are redirected back to window location instead of window location origin, because that would just be the domain, but window location is the full path. So that is good. So that's kind of done. But then if you go to your profile folder inside of Pages.
Yes. So this is messed up stuff.
So if we go back to profile, if we go back to your profile page there in your browser, if you can turn off JavaScript, can you do that? Is that possible? I don't know what browser. Is that Chrome?
Yes, it probably is.
Yeah. So if you right click and then do and then you do view inspect.
Yes.
And then I think you click the little, and it's called kebab icon. It's the three dots. I heard that it's called kebab because the lines are hamburger icon, and then the dots are kebab. And then you go to run command, and if you go to run command, and then I think you can do disable JavaScript. If you just write JavaScript, you'll get there you go. You disable JavaScript. No. And then you refresh your page. As you can see, there's now nothing there. So that's what I mean about there not being any like skeleton page there. But if you go back to your code and you move the wrap layout that you have, often in Gatsby, it's just called a layout if you want to shorten that name. But if you put the wrapper layout in the return.
Yeah, true. I just thought also that's like kind of double.
And then I think also. And I think the title should just be profile, because I mean, somebody's on the profile, they don't really care, because that what you put in the title there is what's in the tab. So if you just call that profile, and then you remove it from all of the other ones, and you need to return, like that. And hit a little bit of a save, I think, so that everything tightens up with your prettier.
Yep, now.
Okay, and then we head back here and you refresh if everything works. Like, since we're in develop, I'm not 100% sure if this is going to work.
No, but maybe that's also.
I think there was an error in the code. There was an error in the.
I think it should now work.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, let's see.
So try to refresh again in the browser.
I will see if localhost is working. Let's see. No.
Well, maybe we can turn the JavaScript off for the developed version of this. That might be it.
But maybe let's see. I mean, it shows
no,
the error here.
Yeah, but it's rebuilt. It's rebuilt. Okay, so maybe it doesn't work to like turn off the JavaScript when it's not in the build version. It's just in the developed versions. If you do JavaScript again. But that would, after you build it like that would then work. But everything is slow on stream, so let's not do build.
Yeah, true.
You got to go to kebab menu again, and then run command, and then you can do, and then JavaScript.
Oh, enable now.
Yeah. But you're on open. I don't know what happened there. You're not getting the commands.
Why?
Yeah, there, and then you write
now.
There, enable JavaScript.
Let's see. That is.
Yeah, but go back to the profile. So we're not gonna test this with now, since we're just in develop. But the idea is that if you were kind of going to this page when it's built and you turn off JavaScript, you should still see that initially statically generated version of the site.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you should see the logo, you should see my profile, maybe different parts, but then we don't show any of the user's data until the application has re-rendered and we know that the user has rehydrated and we know that the user is authenticated. But so to flip the logic then around a little bit in your editor, then I would do, instead of doing is loading, I would check, I would do nothing kind of on is loading. And then I would show, but you have a lot of things happening here because you're like,
I YOLO'd this.
Yes, I like it. I like that. But I would maybe on this page, no matter what, if you have a profile or not, I would show the profile page. Like I would call this a profile page. I would show as much information as I can. So if you don't use your templates right now, or components, if you just kind of write this out, I would then say, okay, if it's no longer loading, and there is a user, show information about the user.
Okay, so and
there is a user, or I guess profile data. So I guess maybe data instead.
Yeah, data.
Yeah. Then show the data, and then you just can do another and then you create. You don't need the you don't need to do both of them. I don't know. This is like a big debate though. I like to, because I like to keep it, I don't like to have if else inside of my JSX, but that is a big debate. Like some people say that you have to, but anyway, do it my way now, and then you fix it your way afterwards. So I usually do that. So if it's no longer loading and there is data, you can just do an and then add your component in there, like a div, for instance.
Yeah, true. That's easy. Yeah. But doesn't this return the data? Oh. Isn't it like this?
No, you can just,
No, that returns the data, right?
Yeah, I just do and because if both of those things are true, then it keeps on going along that line. So.
Okay.
But as I say, people might hate me for this. So.
Okay. So.
But I would just add that profile, the H1 with the profile. I would just add that no matter if we know if it's loaded or not. So inside, after you check if it's not loading anymore, and there is data, I would actually display the data.
Okay, so you would, sorry, I'm too slow. So you would show this component?
Yes.
Okay.
But then I would remove, because I think you have the heading inside of user profile. I would remove that heading and actually put it as part of the page, so that while I'm waiting for things to load, there is a heading there, kind of that skeleton part of the application, so that they, you've landed on something. You've landed on a page that has some kind of information.
Yeah, I mean, that's also, this component is also looking for the user. So we could remove it. Yeah, it's a keyword.
Yeah. So I would maybe just do it in there instead of doing it on the page component, but that, like, the logic would be the same. So if we head on over to your profile page again, take that, my profile.
Okay, so we would add this here.
Yeah, because then, no matter what happens, you will be on, you will see my profile, and then maybe you would show the GitHub username underneath there as soon as you have a GitHub username. And then you show the profile information, for instance. So if you go back to there, so then, like, maybe in the parentheses next to my profile, you show the username, the GitHub username.
Yeah, you mean?
Yeah. And I think that is on use. Yeah. So if I don't even have a profile, I'll show that the preferred username from GitHub, just so they know that they are on the right kind of page. I have it somewhere here in my code. If you're, it's
you need to somewhere.
So it's user _ metadata dot preferred _ username.
Metadata dot _ preferred.
I put it in the private chat.
Okay.
You can copy if you want to copy it from the private chat.
Okay, then we have like a weird thing now.
Okay, let's see. I just do. Oh, it's gone. It's gone.
Thanks. Okay, here it is.
Yeah, so you could, you could put that. I think I had a const user. Oh, there it is. Yeah, great. So now we kind of have something. If we go back and reload our profile page, we will actually see something while everything is loading, instead of getting that kind of loading thing happening.
Need this anymore? Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
Let's see. That was reload. Okay, I go to profile.
Yeah.
It still does reload. Is it maybe I added the wrong link? Maybe I'm just stupid.
Yeah, but still, the reload, even if
let's see, because it also adds a slash here. I'm not sure if this. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it did a reloads, and that's probably something with your link, but
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. That's on me. Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah. That was like, okay.
But anyway, so if you click on your dog, the logo, and then you go back to profile.
Nice.
And then if you refresh now, to do total refresh of the page. So you can see that you kind of get that my profile first. We know we're on the correct page. And then if you have if you want some other design, you could have the design there, and then you fill in the content. But what if the user is not, what if there is no profile or no user? We will have to do a lot of more refactoring to fix that, actually. But if you, so we're not going to do all of that, but let's keep on going. So in your editor, So now we're kind of assuming that there will be a user and there will be a profile. And if none of those things are true, like we are showing nothing. Because what we would like to do is that if there is no user logged in, we want to throw you out and send you back to the kind of the front page.
Or if so it's if there's no, let me think. Okay, if there's no user, you cannot access this. But also if there's a user and not a profile, you should not see this page because you don't have a profile. You have to create a profile.
Yes. So if you then, so that I would then create a button that said create profile again, so you're not like thrown around. I would do then, so if it's not loading anymore and there is no data, then you should get a link to create profile, for instance.
Yes.
So instead of user, or you could just put it in that same page. It depends if you want kind of the edit page to be on its own, if you want the create page to be its own URL, or if you want to have it on this page. So if you want to have it on this page, I would then underneath our is loading, no, is not loading and data, then user profile. I would then do is not loading and does not have data, create profile. And then all of these need to be mutually exclusive, which would happen if you did if else stuff. But I find that if else in my JSX gets very confusing. So that's why I do it like this.
Yeah, that's true. It really looked bad. One thing we have is, why is it complaining? User null is not assignable. Yeah, the thing is, it could also happen that you are on this page, but you are neither authenticated nor have a profile. So, and then we would also have to do something.
Yes, and we would do that in use effect. But you will have to, because you don't have any status in your use auth user, so we don't know if that is done running or not. Because I try this, so there will always not be a user in the beginning, so we need to have some kind of information about knowing if the use auth user is initialized or not. But so basically inside of your use effect, you would say if there is no user and we are not authenticating, like this is done, then you navigate, and then you use navigate instead of link from Gatsby, and then you throw people back to the front page. But I don't think it will work for you, because if there is no user there, it's always going to happen on that initial load.
Yeah, but I think so. Use profile is also it's only returning as loading and is successful if it actually did the call. So we could probably in use effect say if okay, we need probably also is.
But won't it be unsuccessful if there is no? Okay, so you want to check to see if there is no user and is unsuccessful, then we know it's not an authenticated user.
Yeah, or at least because let's see, I think it also returns like is done or has fetched. I would have to look it up.
But I feel like that is muddling things together. So I would rather in use in your in the hook where you're checking to see if there's actually an authenticated user, use auth user. I would kind of replicate a little bit that same type of functionality that you have in use profile, where you can actually assess if this is done or not.
Yeah, I had that in the beginning, I think. With is loaded.
And that would always be loading, and that would always be true in the beginning. And then when something has happened, when your effect is done running, it should be set to
is loaded. So this would be false. Maybe is loaded is the wrong name. Is done.
What
fun.
I like to do, and that I see a lot of people recommend, is that instead of trying to do these as true false, you do them as statuses. So you do status, set status, and then you can have initial or authenticating and then authenticated as the states. And since you're using TypeScript, you then have to type them. Yeah.
Yeah.
TypeScript. I don't
Uh,
know how you
let's
type
say-
them, but then
I think you should. I'm not sure. I will think about better names.
And then you start with a pending.
Mhm.
But then it's nice to return from your hook. It's nice to return helper things. So from your hook, you can then return the user, and then you can return is authenticating. You know, instead of is loading, you can have is authenticating, and that is true when status equals pending. Because then you don't have to, everyone who's using this hook don't have to remember all of the statuses, but the status can only be one thing. Because the problem with using flags for all of the states is that for all of the statuses is that you can then suddenly have something that is pending, is authenticated, is both is true if you have, if you need to have more than two states, that is.
Yes. Is authenticated would be status is done.
Yeah. But I would do is authenticating because that is the same as kind of is loading.
But then it's pending.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but this is, of course. Oh no. Okay, let's just tell TypeScript.
Just shut up.
TypeScript.
Shut up, TypeScript.
I don't have time for this now. It's like, please leave me alone. No, okay. So now we could do as soon as, let's see, let user, then it's pending, and then I would say set status, if there's a user, then it's done. No, it's just done. Right? Hello? I cannot hear you. Are you still there? Is my internet gone?
No, I muted because I was drinking water.
Oh, I cannot see you.
Your internet is not gone. I often do, you know, in it maybe, and then authenticated or unauthenticated if you want to. It depends on like, or if you want to have user as the authentication or not. Well, let's keep it as it is. But yeah, so you would set done no matter what you get back on the auth state change, but you will also do. You also need to probably do that check above there because this would only happen on auth state change, but then on that initial load, we are doing that set user on line 12. So there again, you would need to check like if there is a user, then no, I guess but you can just do set status done there as well. Right? Yeah.
Okay. Now there's a lot of TypeScript.
But you know what? Do you know what? I don't think you need to do this inside of a use effect. I think you can do super base auth user right there where you have where you're initializing it to null. So on line 8, instead of saying that the user is null, you could do super base auth dot user, and then we don't need this status. If that is a synchronous,
I'm not sure it is.
No, because then we have to await it. If it's not synchronous, we need to await it inside of our user.
Yeah, I mean it works and it does not complain and it looks like it's not, but I've seen examples where it is awaited, but until now it's not in the beginning, but then it's
Yeah, because that is the problem, because now we're setting it done before we actually have set the user, right? Because we don't know, we haven't awaited it. So you will need to await it and then set the status to done. And you are not allowed to wait straight inside of a use effect. So you need to make an init auth function that is asynchronous, and then you call that.
Outside.
Oh, you make it it inside of use effect,
right?
inside of use effect, because otherwise you can't use the set user. And then you have to grab the you inside of there, you will need to do const user, so you get the user, or like const. I guess you can't do user because you already have you. Well, you can because it's a new block,
No,
but
I
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you do a set user and set status inside of there.
Okay. Can I use user?
I think you can, because it's a new block thingy.
But here it's also
user. So I usually don't, because it's nice to not.
Yeah. Okay, so we do here that user.
Yeah, and then you set the status inside of there too, because you don't want this to happen until you've awaited the authentication. And then you call init auth, and I usually call that all the way at the end before the return, because those other, you kind of like hook everything up, and then it doesn't matter. It could be anywhere, but like I usually put it there. Okay.
But this is now also complaining that that this promise, promise returned is ignored, but
that is okay, because that is what we want.
Yeah.
Because we are not awaiting that. We're just like kicking it off, like init, and when you're done initting, set the user and set the status.
Okay, nice. Okay, then this is working, this is complaining. Then we go back to profile, and now we not only have a user, but it's gone.
And we have is authenticating. And folks, this might not work because we are just like coding it up as we go here, but the basic idea now is that inside of your use effect, you need to have an array of things that you're dependent on inside of your use effect. So there, and then you are now dependent on user, and it's authenticating.
On both?
Yeah, because we are waiting to see if the authentication process is done, and if it is done, we want to check if there's a user. So if it's not, it's authenticating, and not the user, we need to throw people off.
Yes. Okay, so if there's no user, where's my end? It's not authenticating. And then it's navigate.
Yes, and you need to get that from Gatsby. Yeah, and then you can navigate to wherever you want, but I usually just navigate to the front page. And I think if there's no, do you have to put a 2? Oh, that is TypeScript, I guess.
That's TypeScript.
Yeah. Okay.
Promise returned from. Do I have to? No. Okay.
Okay. Back to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait. What did I do?
Now, I think I didn't do anything.
I'm signed in. I have a profile, and now I have create profile. Oh, okay, because we don't have an else.
No, but that shouldn't. No, but it shouldn't show both, because if there is no data, is loading and data, and is not loading and data should not be shown at the same time. You can't have data and not have data.
True.
So we are showing create profile. It means that you don't have data.
But in the beginning, you don't have data. And then you have data.
Yeah, but it's not showing both, but you're showing the username, preferred username on top there. You don't have a profile yet. You deleted the profile earlier.
No, this is the profile. And this is a create profile component.
Yeah, but if you look at it, No, if you look at your code, the username there, the programmere, that is coming from that one.
I'm so confused.
Yeah. Well, make an HR underneath there so it's easier. If you make an HR and then before this loading, you'll see what's what. This is where we need the design.
Yes. Yes, you're totally right.
There we go. Okay, sign in and let's see if our sign out thing works. Like our sign. So you sign out. Oh, and you're kicked out.
Cannot be properties null of. Okay, I'm kicked out. So okay, I'm still signed in.
Mm-hmm. No, you're not signed in. You're signed out.
No, so you see sign out if you're not signed.
Oh, it's because it was an error there. So if you go back to your code, it doesn't want to sign out because we have an error.
Why is it so?
What is the error? What is the error?
Difficult?
What is the error though?
If use effect if, but that was from before.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can go to profile. Okay, unhandled runtime error file. Create profile.
Oh, it's because if you don't have go back to the auth, there was something in you're using that auth user somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Oh, true.
So we refactored use auth user so that we need to find everywhere that is used.
Yes. That's totally true. Oh my god. Okay. One.
So I very often when I make these hooks, I always return an object. Because then I can just like add stuff onto there.
So much sense. Okay, let's see. Did I save everything?
I think so.
I hope so. Okay. Okay, I'm signed out.
So if you try, so let's try to go to profile. Oh, now you sign in though. No. Okay.
No.
If you try to,
if I'm not signed in.
Yeah. Okay, go to profile.
Almost.
Okay, but there is somewhere that you say use state auth user in create profile. In create profile.
Yes.
In the create profile. Yeah. Because in the beginning, because you are sending in the user when it come in the create profile. So you just need a little on the auth user. You need a little bit of a you need a question mark to check if there's actually an auth user before you use the user meta.
Yeah, auth user is not supposed to be but I shut up the TypeScript compiler.
Yeah, but now since we are doing it a little bit differently, we're kind of expecting the happy path. Then it will try. So head on over to profile again. Let's see if this works. We're almost at the hour, so this is all we're going to do. You had more questions? We're just going to do...
No, I mean, that's an important one. And it's also this client-side thingy. Okay.
And we're so it's the same problem.
Yes, of course. But I mean, couldn't I just... I want to do early returns. I just want to be... It's not an auth user, go away.
Yeah, but the thing is here, since
we could do that.
No, but since we are static, we could do that. But yeah, we could do that as well. But I think that when we are using, so this is a little bit of a mind shift, is that when we are doing a lot of static generation like this, and we want to, if we do want to have those kind of skeleton pages, that kind of, then I like to defer kind of the design. So the design is very similar. And then if there is no data, I still show the form field maybe just disabled. So I like to kind of defer that further down so that we could still, in a later stage for you, show a lot of the design and then just not show anything. So yeah, but you could do it in there as well. But like because I did that a lot. I did it this way, but then for POW, I realized I could actually make each component that shows data be responsible for its own kind of skeleton version. So that, it knows, instead of me showing like a loading thing everywhere, I could just show it without data and then show it with data. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
But then you have to go
then
to go to user profile and then put a question mark there as well.
to use profile?
No, where you were.
Okay.
No, to the edit, I think.
Okay.
There.
Yeah.
Wasn't there the error was on user profile?
Yeah. It was create profile, I think. Okay. Next try.
How are you holding up, Ola? Are you learning stuff for when you're gonna do authentication?
That worked.
Boop.
Yes.
Boop. 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 And then you could make that a hook. So you could say for every page that you want to be enforce authentication, you could use a hook that is you call force authentication. And inside of that hook, you throw people back to the navigation page.
Oh my god, this can also be a hook.
Or
Hooks.
or it can or it could be a component that you kind of wrap you wrap every page that you want to be authenticated. You could wrap it in an authenticated gate. You could call it like a gate, authenticated gate. But instead of but what you would like the Gatsby example actually shows, and I think I sent an email about this today because that's how I did it in the beginning, because that's how Gatsby tells you to do it, where it then will show you that spinner and only kind of load up the component if the user is there, and they only use client-side rendered paths only. But I like this approach better, where it's like I will still render whatever component. I just make sure that no, because you can have no, like if the user has to be authenticated to be able to access the data, then the data will never sensitive data will never be shown, because you will get errors coming back from your APIs if the person is not authenticated. So then just render everything, the happy path, the user is authenticated, because otherwise they wouldn't be on this path. But then throw them out if they're not authenticated, instead of waiting until they are authenticated. Then it's a different mind shift.
Do you know, because at work in one of our apps, we also have this kind of wrapper component to protect input fields. So there's a read-only mode, and there's a component where you can say this, like the child is disabled if the mode is read-only. And this is a component that is then wrapped around like single input fields. So instead of wrapping it around a whole form, it's wrapped around the fields. So this would be the idea of you render as much data or as much components and HTML and stuff as possible, but only protect kind of the single elements. But that would mean a lot of data handling. I'm just thinking aloud.
Yeah. No, you could say that when you go to my profile, it actually shows a disabled form, and then when you click edit, it enables the form. Like you could do it that way, but I have often found that you want different design for when you're showing it, displaying it,
totally.
and showing it. But what I would do, at least, is that if you then go to that kind of edit page, depends if you want that edit page to be a standalone statically generated page, or if when you're on the profile page, you change the component when somebody clicks edit. Like that's two ways of doing it. I like to have them all as standalone pages because it just makes it so much easier to test.
Yeah,
I feel.
Yeah, that's true.
But then I would still just show the form and all of the fields being enabled, because if you're on this page, you're supposed to be on this page. But then I would disable the submit until data is in there.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Or you could disable every form field with just is there a user here? Then if there's no user here, then disable.
Or maybe it's then not a disable, but it's like if this is currently if the user is not authenticated yet, show a loading.
Yeah.
There's kind of this loading animation in forms, for example. So you see the form, but instead of text or anything, you see things. Animated. But that's a really good idea. Also, this idea to have, because that's what I struggled with is, should I have a page for create profile? Because what if users just go to the page create profile, so everybody could access it. But yeah, I could protect the kind of the data.
Yeah, but I would maybe make the create profile and edit profile the same page, because like the first time you save it, you create something, and then the second time you update it. As long as you're supposed to be able to update all of the fields, like I would maybe make that the same page. And I would do that, like if you look in your editor, I would, instead of then trying to have like a lot of route like use. So with the Gatsby documentation, and as I said, they often say that, oh, you want this to be client side only, and then you start using the Reach router yourself instead of relying on kind of the Gatsby built-in. I just like to use the Gatsby built-in. So I would, under your profile folder in Pages, I would create an edit page.
Yeah.
So if you just make no, you don't have to make it its own folder. If you make it inside of the profile and you make edit.tsx, then that will get the path profile/edit.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yes, of course. Oh
and
my God,
often, but see, but now and ikkesant. I started. Now we have to stop. I started speaking Norwegian. Ikkesant just means nothing.
Nice.
I feel like the profile is kind of one thing, so I wouldn't make a new folder for every page. I would just make a file right inside of profile that is called edit.tsx, because I feel like those are kind of like profile is one domain, so I would have them in that one, so you don't have like a million folders. So you just do an edit page inside of there, and that's where you have your edit page, and you will replicate some functionality because you still need your wrapper and you still need those kinds of things. And in the beginning, when I was doing Gatsby and React, I was like, oh, I don't want to replicate all of these components again and again. But then I realized it's very nice when you go in there and you can just see everything, the composition of the page. And then it's also sometimes you're like, oh, but the edit page shouldn't have the logo. Well, then it's easier to change because every page kind of is responsible for its layout. But that is a preference, I guess, on how you like to do it.
Yeah. Nice.
And then you can have
Yeah, I have to remember I delete my sourcing of the profiles for profile. I have, and I'm really proud of myself. That's the last thing I will show you. I added a sourcing for profile. Oh no, see, this is actually for the public users. And I only requested name and username from Supabase. I'm not sure if that would be safe enough for that. Like this would be for the public profiles.
Yeah, so if you're going to have public profiles, this would definitely be the correct way of doing that. And you just have to make sure that you don't suddenly like spread all of the profile information in there, or like, so you have to be very mindful in your Gatsby node, like what kind of information do you put into these nodes, because all of the Gatsby kind of content nodes, even if you're not showing it, it's like available there somewhere in the code. So so doing it with just using the profile username, but I don't think you have anything on there now. Yes, if you go down to line 47, that is where you kind of like make there you say that all of the profile information should be available on that node. So now you're kind of saying all of the information coming back from only selecting one thing, or oh, you're only selecting name and user. Well, then you were good. Yes, you were good.
Thank you.
Gold star.
Oh my God, I just wanted to say that feels like another gold star here.
Yes. So as long as you want name and username to be public for everyone, then that is correct. I would maybe like if you
maybe not, right?
I mean, it depends. Like you could maybe leave that up to the user. Like I wouldn't mind being a public buddy, for instance. So maybe on the profile, it's disabled by default, and then you can enable a public profile, and then you would select only. You will do a filter here where you only select the people where the profile is public.
That's a good idea. Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Okay, so as long as either user can decide to have a public profile. If yes, I can source it. If no, I use the same widget with conference, like this square bracket thingy.
Square bracket. Square bracket. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. That's so cool. Wow.
We got a lot done.
Yes. I have a lot to do.
I love these rooms where I just talk.
Nice.
I think we are reaching our end, but yeah. So to summarize,
yeah. Do you want to stop my screen sharing? Then I can look at you again. Nice. There you are. Hello.
Yeah. This actually, it's really funny though, because my email today was about how I don't do these kind of authentication routes like I used to, like I could, because I like to do skeleton pages. So now I can write about skeleton pages tomorrow. So it will actually be a follow-up.
Yes.
Yes, I think kind of the mind shift we did a little bit today is that instead of taking kind of the unhappy path first, like, oh, there is no user, so let's show it's loading, and we will kind of trust that if somebody is on, if they're on a URL or a path, they are supposed to be on there, and we just show like non-sensitive data. We just show a skeleton page, even though there wasn't much of a skeleton, but there will be more of a skeleton. And then if it turns out that a user is not authenticated, we kick them off instead of hiding everything until we know they're authenticated. We show as much as we can, and then we kick them off if they are unauthenticated. And that is a nice way of using Gatsby to create these kind of app skeletons and have each page be, because then you could use Gatsby page system for all of the pages instead of kind of creating a catch-all app app page that then does all of the client side kind of handling and authentication as a regular React app. If we do it the way we've done today, we can then create static pages for all the pages. There are only supposed to be visible for logged in users, but we kick people off if they are not supposed to be there. And that makes it so much nicer when people refresh, because I see this all the time as a user. Like if something, if you're in an application and something is like feeling iffy, you often refresh just to make sure that you have the latest notifications and everything. And it feels really weird when like every time you've refreshed, there's like a loading kind of thing. And we could have a look at, I think Twitter also, does this pretty well. I can share my screen. Oh, I have to take everyone off here.
I cannot continue building this thing after our streams. We just get stuck after a week.
Yeah, but Ulla and I have some good news, because you will
we have a plan.
You have a plan. We have a plan, and you will be back.
It's a secret plan.
Oh wow!
It's a secret plan.
I started a message in our messenger with with a warning emoji and random ideas incoming. So
I did something wrong. Yeah.
Mirjam, I didn't get what did you say?
There we go. Oh, look at that. That is us in like
yes.
That is us on Twitter.
It's
5 seconds ago. Yeah.
Well,
So if we have a look at Twitter, just to like be clear about they had that little, but like this page, that you can see the skeleton, and then parts of it, are loading. I think Facebook does it even better, because then it would have like little fake tweets, and then as soon as the data loads in, it will like, it will be.
I will go for the fake tweets.
Yeah. And I think in one of the UI frameworks that I use the Material UI. Material UI. And I don't know if Bootstrap has that, but they have these skeleton components that are pretty nice.
I mean, I just use Bootstrap CSS, so I'm building all my components by myself. But so like there are only a few components, so I can build a skeleton component.
Oh my god, my computer is like crashing.
Yeah, because streaming.
Yeah, so
I
here
once started yarn install while on a Zoom meeting. Not good.
Did it blow up? Yeah. So
No.
Material UI, which I really like for more application-like interfaces, they have these skeleton components, as you can see, how you can have a circle,
Yeah.
a square, and text, and you get that little like, oh, we're loading,
Yeah.
without having to have a loading.
Yeah, that's really nice.
See, now
Spinner?
we need to spinner.
Yeah.
This is the end of the stream because I can no longer speak English and I am messing up the things. The things.
All thingies. I
all
love
the
it.
thingies. All the thingies.
Yeah.
No, but I think it came a long way. And I think we are doing a stream with you next week. And then we will probably see you regularly this spring, even though you don't know that. And
Okay.
and Ola can do our ending. If our daughter can be quiet.
The secret plans are the best plans.
I can hear
Nice.
a sour pirate princess in the background there.
No, she's happy.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there. She said, I want to be in the picture.
I want to be in the frame.
Yeah, she should.
Okay, Benedicte, very important message from the pirate
Yeah.
princess. Can you move us over to switch places with you so she can see herself?
No.
Like that? Very good. Ok, ikke begynn før jeg sier fra. Si ja. Er det riktig vei nå da? Nei, det er feil vei. Du må holde den sånn. Ok. What's on the next?
We skip that because we need to do some more planning, Ola, before we announce next week.
Next week is also secret. Okay. Okay, so we are going to play. Først spiller vi, og så blåser vi lavt. Just said we have to blow low. Okay, 1,
Quiet.
2, 3. This has been another unauthorized and rum-fueled treasure hunt in the sharky waters around the Gatsby Islands with Queen Ray. Oh, I was a little quick there. Mirjam Albach of Conference Buddy. I'm your host, Captain Ola Vea with the Pirate Princess Lillian. Remember to smash that like button, friends.
And subscribe.
Laugh.
Am I pressing the button?
Somebody has to.